Hello, happy people. I hope that you are having just one of the best days in your life today. Today, I got the fun privilege of introducing you to one of my favorite short stories I've ever read by Lord Dunsany. And I just read it last night for the first time. The Fortress Unvanquishable, Save for Sacnoth. It's a part of this collection that I've been taking a deep dive into that was published by Penguin Classics a while ago. It has a lot of his fantasy short stories, and he is a big name in fantasy. Basically, he's in the conversation for the single most influential fantasy writer before Tolkien put pen to paper with Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. You can probably, I think you can make a good argument for Robert E. Howard. Is the most influential pre-Tolkienian writer in fantasy. I think you can make a good argument for Lord Dunsany. And then the other ones, I just don't think they're there. You know, Fortress Smith, I just don't think that he's as influential as the other two. His Weird Tales, Compounded Power, Robert E. Howard, or Lord Dunsany. H.P. Lovecraft's fantasy stuff isn't as resonant. George MacDonald's fantasy stuff isn't as influential. But Lord Dunsany, from Neil Gaiman to people at the time like Clark Ashton Smith and H.P. Lovecraft was heavily influential during his time, and so his stuff is very, very influential, and obviously Robert E. Howard's Conan stuff is very influential through Conan the Barbarian, which is also still read today. Both his stuff and spin-offs like comics, movies, video games, and that sort of a thing. So I think you could basically have an argument as to which one of those two is the most influential of the two in fantasy. But Lord Dunsany's certainly a conversation. So this is one of my favorite works that I've ever read by the guy. It's probably my 15th short story I've read by him. And I've also read a couple of novels by Lord Dunsany too. The Charwoman's Shadow and The King of Elfland's Daughter. The second one of those is actually reviewed for you on this channel. So I like it a lot. This is getting a 9 out of 10. It's the first short story I've ever read by Lord Dunsany that I'm giving a 9 out of 10 to. I loved it that much. It was so much fun. And Lord Dunsany isn't always a fun writer. He's erudite, he's introspective, he's thinking, there's a lot of description. But this short story was so much fun that the Fortress Unvanquishable, Save for Sacnoth was just an absolute blast for me to read. And I just enjoyed it so much. But basically the setup is very simple. We have a small little village, and our point of view character is going to be one of the people from that village. And this basic curse hits the village, and the people start to live lives of nightmares in their dream time, which is really hurting them and scarring them emotionally, physically, causing their work to suffer and so forth. So they go to the local town wizard. And the wizard says, I'll cast a spell to relieve these issues that the town is having. So he casts a spell. It's a good spell. It's a spell that would work normally. It works for beasts. It works for men. It should work. But obviously there is a very powerful wizard out there that has unfairly influenced the town that he can't counter. But he knows exactly who the wizard is. So what he does is he tells them how to take care of this wizard. And the wizard lives in this fortress that's unvanquishable, save for Sacnoth, which is a sword. And this sword isn't just any old sword. He gets asked questions about the sword by our point of view character, who's a member of this small town. And the point of view characters is like, hey, look, so what is Sacnoth? Where can I find it? And that sort of thing. And basically, Sacnoth is a body part of a crocodile dragon that is mean, nasty, and impossible to kill unless you starve it from hunger. Which you can do by keeping it from eating for 3 days, and if you do that, then you have to burn the body as the ashes for this, and then you can sharpen it with a jewel. That's one of his eyes, and the other of his eyes can be used as the hilt. And this sword, Sacnoth, can then be forged, and then can answer this super evil wizard's curse, magical curse on this town of dreaming and nightmares. And so that's basically the quest. our main character sets out to find Sacnoth, and then once he finds Sacnoth and assembles it, then he sets out to head over to the evil wizard's lair and to take him out. And that's the short story in a nutshell. It's really, really a clever idea. There's a lot of fun details to it. It's very well written by Lord Dunsany. It's a very strong read, and I could not recommend it more. It's my first 9 out of 10 I'm giving one of his short stories to. So there you are. That is the Fortress Unvanquishable save for Sacnoth. I'll go ahead and leave you to it. Have you read it? What did you think? Did you agree or disagree with my take in any way, shape, or form? I would be more than happy to engage you with it further in the comments below. If you like this video, hey, why not hit that subscribe button? Because there's going to be a lot more to these to follow in fantasy, like this one, science fiction, and horror. And then finally, I want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your day and investing it and watching my video. We all have so many things that are happening in our lives, right? And we're pulled in so many different directions. So the fact that you spent this time with me is incredibly humbling, and I appreciate it again. Thanks, and have a great day.